Whoa, easy there, easy. You've been out cold a couple of days now. Why don't you just relax a second? Get your bearings. Let's see what the damage is. How about your name? Can you tell me your name?
Howdy, partner!
Beating Fallout New Vegas as a Securitron. Now, what does that mean exactly? What restrictions and game changes will this have? Well, there are two things, my weapons and the ending I have to choose. In this playthrough, I have to side with Mr. House since I'm a Securitron, right? And do everything he tells me to do. Now, in terms of my weapons, there's a great and extremely engaging demonstration in the game that will point out specifically what weapons are available.
Step closer to the demonstration area, if you would. I expect you're well familiar with my Securitrons by now. The titanium alloy...
Hey, I'm just playing. I'm not going to have you watch that whole demonstration. We've all had to watch it way too many times. We all hate it. We all just open up our phone and wait for the demonstration to be over every time. So, here's some highlights, some spark notes of what Mr. House has to say for our weapons.
Its X-25 Gatling laser produced to spec by Glassinghouse Inc. The Securitron is armed with a 9mm submachine gun. The M235 missile launcher gives the Securitron the ability to engage ground and air targets. The rapid-fire G28 grenade launcher ensures the Securitron is deadly in close-range engagements.
Alright, so those are our available weapons for the challenge run. However, the missile and grenade launchers won't be available until I give House the Platinum chip, as since I'm a Securitron, the Platinum chip will upgrade my arsenal. So, with all explanations out of the way, let's get started back at Doc Mitchell's house. Alright, now that we're in Doc Mitchell's house, I'm just going to skip right to the special stats, no more of that mumbo jumbo. So I chose 6 strength since I figured a robot would probably be able to throw a good punch with those lengthy metal arms. 9 perception, as Securitrons are great at using energy weapons and probably have aimbot, so it makes sense to have high perception. 4 endurance, honestly, I just wanted more points elsewhere. Realistically, this should be pretty high because I have like metal armor, so I probably have like more health as a Securitron. 1 charisma, because we're a robot, we don't got personality. 7 intellect, I figure we gotta be somewhat smart since we're a literal computer. Agility at an 8, since we'll be using SMG for most of the run. And if you've ever been chased by Victor, you know he's pretty fast, so 8 agility makes good sense there. And finally, 5 luck, just a standard number, a flat rate, you know, just a standard little coin flip right there. Overall, to be more accurate with the build and the special stats, 4 points. Shaw probably should have gone into endurance and intelligence, as like the metal armor and the fact we're a literal computer kind of guarantees both these specials at a 10. Moving on to tag skills, I choose repair, medicine, and guns. Not for any particular Securitron related reason or anything. I then used the repair tag skill to get my first weapon of the run, the 9mm submachine gun. Then after acquiring that, I move on to Doc Mitchell's gun case, where I get the second and final gun until we turn in the Platinum chip. This weapon being the laser pistol. Finally leaving Doc Mitchell's house, the first thing I run into is my robot counterpart Victor. Victor's low-key a real one, as he dug me out of my grave not too long ago. Anyway, with small talk concluded with Victor, I go out back to shoot some bottles with the dog lady before entering the saloon and giving Joe Cobb a few ounces of 9mm. All that remained of him was a little bit of his head on the table, which the Goodsprings settlers seemed to be dining on. With Cobb dead and the powder gangers pissed off, I gathered some people from Goodsprings and started the Ghost Town gunfight quest, making sure to utilize the laser pistol sparingly against the no-armored gangers. I then left Goodsprings and made my way towards Prim, and upon arrival I proved that my 9mm SMG is an S-tier weapon against the 2 no-armored convicts outside. After going inside, I then dumped a couple mags on the convict leader, rescued the heroic deputy, and made my way towards Novak, where I ran into one of the weirdest sequence of events I've ever seen here.
Come on!
After that whole situation over at Nipton, I made my way towards Novak, where I ran into another incident of just classic New Vegas jank and humor, as these two legionary recruits would rather just stand and talk to me, while their buddies behind them get lit up by the traveling caravan. Once at Novak, I meet up with my counterpart, Victor 1.0, and then I break into Jeannie Mae's safe for the bill of sale. And since it's nighttime, while everybody's sleeping, I also break into the general store and take that gun so I can sell it for later. I then speak to Crawfish once again and tell her to stand right in front of the sniper tower. And then I finish the boon quest for the free XP. I won't be using any companions this run since they break the rule the guns allowed for the challenge run. So I move on from Novak over to the substation to mark it for later, where I then get chased by one of the guards all the way over to Camp McCarran, where I eventually lose him while entering. I make my way to the strip from the monorail in Camp McCarran and say hello to Victor once again, where he then orders me to go directly to Mr. House, which has a Securitron. I must obey that order. In the Lucky 38, Mr. House yaps a little, then tells me to go kill Benny for that platinum chip. So I promptly pass a couple speech checks to use my weapons inside the casino. And like all other no armor NPCs, I use that 9mm SMG to just spray and tear right through him and all his guards rather easily. I then return the platinum chip to Mr. House, where he gives me the horrific platinum chip demonstration. For our purposes, I'm just going to skip that shit since we already know what it does. However, this does mean that I'm now able to use my grenade launcher and a missile launcher if I get my hands on one. With that in mind, I know that one of the boomers at the front gate has a missile launcher I could borrow. So I make my way over to the airbase and hit a clean grenade shot on George in the process. I then run through the bombardment and see my missile launcher waiting for me at the front gate. But before borrowing it, I decide to get my reputation up first with the boomers. So I turn in about 30 scrap metal I've been saving up for a while, and then cure some patients over in the medical center. With these two tasks alone, I then instantly become idolized, which means they won't mind if I borrow one of their missile launchers for a bit. This action does make me a dark hero, but still allows me to go raise the bomber from the lake. And during the journey over to the lake, I run into another instant of just classic Fallout New Vegas, where there is a Brahmin and his trader on the roof of a building. Mind you, there is no staircase or even a ladder, not that ladders work in this game, but there's not a staircase or a ladder to even get up there in the first place. Anyway, with that out of the way, I make it to the lake and attach the ballast to the bomber and activate the detonator. Skipping ahead a bit, Mr. House tells me to make my way over to Caesar's camp and activate the Securitrons underneath it. So I take the boat over to the fort and talk to the man himself, and make my way down into the facility. I use my SMG and grenade launcher to clear out the Securitrons and turrets, and activate all my fellow Securitron comrades. Mr. House likes what I've done, and asks me to get the boomers on my side. Since I've already raised the bomber for them, all I have to do is speak to Pearl and convince her to support a robot army. After the boomers are convinced, Mr. House has another loose end to clean up, beating the Omertas, and he orders me to stop whatever their evil plan may be. So I waltz on into the casino and take Kachina's journal to get some info on the side business. After exploring deeper into the casino, I find Troik, who knows a bit more on what's going on. He informs me that weapons are being smuggled in, and he has conveniently been working on some thermite that could destroy all of them. So I use this thermite, destroy the weapons, and get flashbanged by the explosion. With the weapons gone, all that was left was to get rid of the bosses. So Kachino hands me a double barrel, and we get to work. Mr. House once again likes what I've done, but nothing is ever enough for this old fart, and he makes me go destroy the Brotherhood of Steel all by myself. So I do what he says, and I walk on in and let myself get captured by the Brotherhood, where I am then forced to get rid of a ranger in one of the neighboring bunkers. With an explosive collar around my neck, I had no choice but to obey, so I rigged the ranger's radio to explode when he uses it. With the ranger dead, and now the Brotherhood thinks I'm just chill like that, they let me roam around the entire base, where I can just pickpocket everybody's self-destruct keycard and initiate the base to explode. I dip on out of there and see smoke rising from the vents, letting me know my job here is done. The Brotherhood of Steel gone, Mr. House's list is finally complete, and it is time for the Battle of Hoover Dam. I make my way deep into the dam where I need to access the override computer. However, some power armor NCR guards are blocking the way. Luckily, I have some plasma grenades that are insanely strong. They did so much damage, in fact, I checked to make sure my difficulty was actually on the normal setting. So I install the override ship and make it out the other side of the dam, utilizing more plasma grenades on some Centurions. The Centurion's dead, it was time to make my way over, and my game crashes. Classic Fallout New Vegas. Now, back into the game, I make my way up to the Legate's camp and attempt to get a sneak attack with my missile launcher. I'm somewhat successful as I do get the first hit, and then start spamming missile launchers for quick work at the Legate. I make my way over to the gate and speak to General Oliver, and let my fellow comrades make quick work of him and his guards. I talk to Mr. House and end the game. Anyway, if you made it this far, you're a real one, and leave some feedback in the comments below. I'll talk to y'all in the next one.
Yes.